yourself in and get ready. The leaders in NBL Supercoach are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Hello, I am the Supercoach Matrix, and here is Hammer, and this is our Insight NBL show for a little round 13 preview. Of course, always, the show is brought to us by Ryan from Astute Newstead and the Standard Squeeze. Mate, it has been torrential rain up here in Queensland, which has given us time to have a look at some NBL.
Mate, it has not stopped raining. I'm surprised the podcast wasn't washed out tonight. But, yeah, mate, plenty going on. And we've had a little bit of time to dig a little deeper this week. It's a bit of a unique round, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit of a weak round, a weird round, I suppose. It's raining so much that I've got to have my in-laws stay over tonight. So I hope they're not listening and hearing me complain about that. So, yeah, there's some creeks going over. But, mate, yeah, it is an interesting round. Look, just quickly, we're going to go through the buy, hold, and sell, our team previews with our scheduled chat. We're going to target the captain that we're looking at and answer your questions along the way. We appreciate everybody coming on to the live part of the show. As always, we're gonna preface the schedule and who's on doubles and probably a little preview as to who we're going to talk about. So, Adelaide, they're on a double-double. So you have 2 games in a row for the fire-cracking 36ers. You have the Hawks on 5 in a row, and you have Bullets on 6 in a row. I don't know. Did we decide what we're calling 5 doubles in a row and 6 doubles in a row?
I'm going to go pent double and hex double. Let's roll with that one.
Yeah, so I've got breakers, kings, and jack jumpers on fingers, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Tell me.
It's that. So sorry, it's in return on this. So you've got a single, you've got a double, and then you've got a single there. So that's down, and then you've got 3 doubles incoming. So whenever we're talking about fingers, that's what it is. And yeah, mate. So we've got breakers, kings, and jack jumpers on fingers. So they're going to be a little bit relevant as well.
Yeah, a little bit to discuss with the finger schedule a little later on with some of the moves we might want to be making, which might give you some pods. But mate, let's get into it tonight.
Yeah, let's get into it. I've got it all worked out as to what we're going to do in a little bit of a different order tonight. So let's head into the buys.
Buy more. Sound fair enough?
Mate, I hear everyone in the chat calling it a sex double. I like it. But Kendrick Davis, the first player to reach 500K. I don't care how you do it, but you find a way this week to buy Kendrick Davis.
Yeah, this should come as no surprise. We've been talking about it for weeks. We've dropped the math. We've been arranging our squads for probably 3 weeks now, knowing this was coming, to either get him or get him and Montrezl Harrell together. I've got him in my squad. I've got him slated as the captain. I don't think if you're serious about this game, there's a way you don't bring him in, the way he's playing.
Yeah, 100%. And look, he's averaging 63 Supercoach points in the last few weeks. As we said, the first to hit 500K might actually be, like, I'm looking at this 93 break even and might actually be underpriced at 528, which is not something I ever thought I would have said.
It's phenomenal that he could possibly still be a cash cow. If it wasn't for Bryce Cotton's form lately, you'd say this was completely unprecedented and unheard of. But it's elite. I don't think we've really seen this kind of string of 60s before. I'd be upset if I didn't own him.
Yeah, I think, you find a way, And I have him at the top of the buy list. We've talked about it for 2 weeks. You've hopefully planned for 2 weeks. But if you, for whatever reason, got the math wrong or everything last week, and you can't get Kendrick, and you can't get one of these 2 Adelaide guys, I think you downgrade somebody that's very expensive down to get Davis this week. But the guy that I think is just as big of a must own is Montrezl Harrell. But if you could only get one of Kendrick Davis and Montrezl Harrell, for me, it's get Kendrick Davis. Mr. CBB in the chat, is Kendrick Davis' style of play conducive to big Supercoach scores? The way these little guards in the NBL play are conducive to big Supercoach scores. I'm talking your PJCs, I'm talking your Cottons, I'm talking your Davises, I'm talking your Jalen Adams. All these guys play is conducive to big Supercoach scores because, of course, you don't lose points for missing shots. So Kendrick Davis is probably the best of them because he's the best passer of the lot. So, yes, must own. But Trez has been just as... He would have been the title of every single show that we've had if it didn't just align with how good KD's been. Because he's got a 5-round average of 44 going on, most of those being singles, a point per minute of 1.4. He is him as well in his own right. And that center forward eligibility allows you to, make some other moves as well.
Yeah, the dual position is what makes it even better. It's the cherry on top, meaning that we can have Tyrell Harrison as well. A lot of us are holding because of the schedule. He's been good without being great. Having Trez at that forward spot is a real luxury. The only conundrum you have then is that other forward spot, which we'll talk a bit about later on. But Trez for me is a hold. I think KD, you can play him on a single. There's not too many that we would say could play on a single. Probably those 2 and Cotton. We saw if it wasn't for Sobey last week, Cotton and KD would have been a captain option on a single.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, I think that you can comfortably play them on a single. You can definitely sit them on the bench on a single. Like, what else are you going to do? Like, you're going to pull out 25, and that's probably an understatement with how good these guys have been over the last 3 or 4 games. But you're going to pull out, 30 points on your bench by these guys. Of course, they come at the hefty price tag. So you've probably had to plan for weeks to get both of them. But if you could only get one, get Davis. If not, Montrezl Harrell is the next best option.
Yeah, I think if it's a choice, it's definitely Davis. Montrez does, like all bigs have, is that fear of a bit of foul trouble. They do have other bigs if he gets in foul trouble, they don't have to keep playing. We've got Jarrell Martin, you've got Isaac Humphries. They are so thin at guard. DJ 3J is out. And with him out, there's more shots, there's more ball in Kendrick Davis's hand, and he is making the most of that. The assists, like you said, he's leading the league in assists. He's playing the full, 35 minutes. He's got the ball in his hand. It is up to him to create. They need him to. And it's just translating across the board. A few steals here and there, the double-double threat every single week. The guy just excites me.
Oh, I tell you what, that big guy excites you. I knew it. Look, we can sit here and, have this little Adelaide 36ers circle jerkers. We could have it all night. We've been doing it for 2 weeks. But I also want this show to be for people that maybe you missed last week's show. Maybe you haven't got the funds to get Harrell. Maybe you decided to structure your team differently. Now, if you fall just short of Montrezl Harrell, Xavier Cooks is an interesting one. So Xavier Cooks is on fingers schedule-wise, and he's 375K. He has a 3-round average of 50 and a lower break-even than Montrezl Harrell. To me, that's coming from not so much the scoring he's been producing, but the price there. So he's got a lower break even. But on any other week, I think Xavier Cooks would be considered must own. So I don't know how big of a step you miss out by going Cooks over Trez if it means, if that's all you can do, or if it means getting Davis, I suppose is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think we've said this on other occasions too. If you consider it a package deal, so let's say you already had Kendrick Davis, you elect not to go with Montrez, you go with Xavier Cooks, and allows you to have another forward on your court who is playable, whether it's a Sam Froling going into 5 double-doubles, whether it's upgrading to a Darius Days or Josh Bannon if you wanted to go that way, or someone else, a Cam Oliver maybe. If you took it as a package deal, you might be able to average across the two of them the same as getting Montrezl Harrell in.
Yeah, I think so. So you can really consider it. I know I certainly am not thinking with my boost at the moment because I've used them all. But if you can get a boost, like my second forward spot is a nightmare. So if instead of having Harrell, if I had a boost, then maybe I could get, like you said, a Cooks or a Bannon or some of these other guys, to get Henschels or Malik Lewis and blokes like that out of my team. It would be under consideration. And I want, I can't look at everybody's team unless you're in our Patreon. I can't look at everybody's team and make suggestions. But that is a good call, Hammer.
Would it be a good week to use a boost if you had one free? Would separate you from the pack a bit, because I don't think too many people have one left.
Yeah, I think that this is probably the week with Adelaide's double-double. Yeah. And like Hawks, you can get a week early on some of these Hawks, which the next are blokes that I'm talking about as buys as well. Yeah. But yeah, look, you can get a week ahead of the Hawks, because I think people aren't looking at the Hawks this week because everybody's looking at Davis, Trez, and even Cooks to a certain degree. But if you could do one extra trade and get Davis and Trez, it would be to get in a Hawk, wouldn't it?
It would be. Well, here's another option for you. This is a team I've seen floating around our Patreon somewhere. Must have got either Trez or KD last week, right? So they've got the two trades up their sleeve this week. You could bring in Jalen Adams. Have a backcourt of Jalen Adams, Kendrick Davis, and Montrezl Harrell up on your forward with a Tyrell Harrison at center and possibly a Darius Days or someone like that at your other forward position. Jalen Adams is coming to a really nice schedule. It would mean getting rid of PJC. Yeah, he's on the shocker. But look, I may as well bring it up now. We're going to talk about it later. I put an article up today on our Patreon talking about how, look, is it worth considering that PJC has run his course? He's been up and down, to be honest. He's had a good game, a bad game, a good game, a bad game the last couple of rounds. New Zealand have been disappointing, to say the least. They're not playing how they were in the first half of the season. He has the exact same schedule as Sydney and Tasmania, which means you don't really lose anything games-wise going from a PJC to a Jalen Adams, and you might even make a bit of cash.
I like it. I think it's a really good call. PJC is somebody that I'm definitely scared not to own. But in my start sits this week, I'm considering Keandre Cook over Parker Jackson Cartwright anyway. So yeah, look, he is a guy that you could trade out. And even on a double, I know it's sort of against the rules to do it on a double, but I struggle to see him hitting his 84 break even this week.
Yeah. And he had a 90-something break even last week. Have a look at the matchups that PJC has this week. He plays the first game of the round Friday night against Sydney. They are tough for Supercoach scores. Guards struggle to score against him. Then he backs up again Monday. Where is he? Oh, against Tassie on the Wednesday, Christmas Day special in Tassie. So on the road against a really stingy defense. I don't like this round for PJC at all. He's not in my captain consideration, even if it wasn't, the KD whitewash here. But this would be a good week to move off him, I reckon.
Yeah, and Jalen Adams is a really good sideways go. There's some guys asking in the chat how much he is. He's actually only $6K cheaper than Parker Jackson Cartwright, so he's $371K. Jalen Adams in that last game against Brisbane was phenomenal. Got him over the line. I think that Sydney are at their best when it's Jalen Adams and Xavier Cook's show. They should be trying to play like Adelaide, to be completely honest. Just those two guys. Cam Oliver needs to accept that he's probably Space Cam's a bit of a role player in this team. I'm sorry.
Well, he is. Whether he should be or not is probably another question. But look, Adams did come off the bench. We talked about this Monday night, but he did play the 33 minutes. It's a token bench role, right? He's coming in a few minutes into the game. You know, let the pace come out of the game for 5 minutes, and then he'll play the rest of the way. They need him to be good.
You know what I hate?
Tell me.
The commentators spruiking up. Oh, Sydney, they have the best bench in the league. You know, they outscore any other bench. It's legit just Jalen Adams, and he plays starter minutes. They just bat him at 3 for some reason. I know you're all watching BBL at the moment.
While we're talking about things we hate, do you know what I hate?
Tell me.
That song. Boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say, well, well. And I'll tell you why, Matrix. I was driving home tonight, and it came on the radio, and I just about pulled over and had a little meltdown. It's traumatic for me. When I was about, I'm going to say 8, 9 years old, went to what is now NBL 1. It used to be ABA or Siebel or something back then, a Hobart Chargers game. Sitting up in the crowd, and the court announcer, he starts playing that, and the whole crowd's, whoa, and he goes, boom, boom, boom. And for whatever reason, didn't get what was going on or whatever. They cut the music, and there's me, 8-year-old Hammer yelling out, whoa. I'm the only one. The whole crowd was silent. I must have missed the memo. Everyone turned around and looked at me, and I've never listened to that song since. Traumatic. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, look, I'm glad I actually feel that way about some of my Supercoach decisions. I'm worried people are watching me because, I do a podcast and everybody watches me. Mate, the next slot of guys I'm looking at is getting in. Look, it shouldn't be getting in early. On any other week where we weren't so excited about Adelaide 36ers, this is the week to get in some Illawarra guys. Now, we can start with the guards because I don't think you can have both of them, but you've really got to hedge your bets and decide whether you want Trey Kell or Tyler Harvey. Which one would you get if you're bringing one in? Oh, if you are bringing one in this week.
Yeah, not bring one in this week. I've used my trades, but it's tough, right? Tyler Harvey has been scoring well. I don't love his stat line when he doesn't score. Trey Kell, we know he's a triple-double threat. He had one last year. He's gone close a couple of times. Even if he's not shooting the ball well, he tickles the score sheet. So to me, Kell's more consistent, safer, probably even has the bigger upside to go big. But look, the form right now is with Tyler Harvey. What's the price differential? You got it in front of you?
Yeah, I've got, I know there's a 62 break even on Kell, and there is there is a 53 break even for Harvey. They're about the same price. So 330K and 308K. Harvey's a touch more expensive.
Yeah.
I think Trey Kell. Yeah. I think Trey Kell just because he's a bit more consistent. Like, Tyler Harvey might win you team of the week one week. But if you're playing overall, if you want that consistency in your team, I'd go Kell. I'm going to hedge my bets elsewhere this week, but I'm going to have a real good look this week. I would be very surprised if I'm not bringing Kell or Harvey next week.
Yeah. For me, owning at the starting guards at the moment, I've got PJC, Kendrick Davis. And then on my bench, I've got I've got Keandre Cook and I think Henschel at the moment. It could easily be a move from one of them to probably Trey Kell. That's very doable. You can sit and forget for the next 5 weeks, 10 games.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, whether you play them, like 300K at this point of the season, you can play them matchup dependently. So, yeah, I like that as well. They're probably definitely a play next week
Yeah.
because you've got your break-ins and your Kings guards, if you've got Adams, I suppose, drop out of the double doubles. So yeah.
Yeah. Michael Higginson's in the chat there. Do we worry about Illawarra? They're such an even team. Any player could be the man on any given night, and there is a bit of that about them. But I think there's certain guys that they want to be the guy to step up each week. They've been lucky that other guys are stepping up when these guys don't fire. But I think by design, you'd want the ball in Trey Kell's hands.
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, Kell's the head of the snake, and then you've got blokes like your Wani Swaka Bullock out there, and your Days, your Peatlings. Like, you have Peatling in your starting lineup because you want Kell, Harvey, and Froling to take more shots. That's the long and the short of it. That's what gives me confidence in those three guys. Yeah, Days does, and I know people are saying it in the chat, Days does things when these guys are off or when they're off their game. But when you really need him, they're not looking for Days anymore.
No, it's a strange role, and it's a strange evolution of what's happened because we looked at him very early on, and he only had 43 Supercoach points in the first round and then a couple of high 30s. He's fallen off a cliff. I don't know why, because I don't think anything's really changed structurally with that team. And I thought he'd found his groove again. Then he popped off for 13 this week. Mason Peatling gives that team balance. It's the same reason that Sydney start Lepepe. If you've got Days there's probably too many mouths to feed. He's probably better off with the second unit. Peatling's been good. We picked him up at 79K. Is it too late?
I think you've got to get him this week. I think next week's too late. But this week, I think that you can still get him if you really need a downgrade. But I'm not expecting him to make any more money. I'm expecting you to get 30 points on a double, which I'm okay with at 142K on my bench. It's just, he's never a guy that you can really consider playing. Whereas Days, I think you could have a little bit of a punt. Like you could have a little bit of a gamble that Days is going to go off, especially on doubles. He only needs to go off one game for him to be better than Peatling. So yeah, I think if you want to insert him in your lineup at some stage, I'd go a Days over a Peatling. So
yeah, for sure.
Froling's my last buy. 50 break even, 3-round average of 35. I actually think he's the best, most consistent buy out of the lot of these Illawarra players. Look, I like the way he plays. He's forward center eligible. I've been struggling at the forward spot. I was struggling at the center spot until I got Tyrell Harrison. Now I'm struggling at that second forward spot. Mate, I think you can play him every week, and I think his lowest score all year has been about 22. He's topped out at about 35, and that's safety.
Yeah, I think the schedule's good here too. Like, if you're looking at that second forward spot for sort of that mid-range guy, you're looking at guys like Froling and Bannon. So you can sit and park them there for the next 5 or 6 weeks without worrying about them. You'll get good production, probably not great. Occasionally you might get a ceiling game out of him, but you're going to have a lot of in and out with some of your other players with the schedule. Having some of those guys that you can just sit and forget is going to be really, really good when you're going to have to use your 2 trades a week to try and massage around to have a whole squad of your starters on double games.
No, I'm with you, man. Let's head into the next lot. Let's go into hold. Mate, the first one I've got is Bryce Cotton.
Okay.
The schedule is putrid. I actually hate it for Perth. But break even of 16, he is going to be much like how James Bateman broke the record and held it for a week. KD was the first to hit 500K. Cotton's about to be the second. Break even of 16, 480K. If you've got him and you can get Davis if you've got a boost and you can really downgrade somebody down, you could just leave Cotton on your bench and he's a cash cow. And I think he could make another 40K this week.
Yeah, I think that's the real caveat to that, isn't it? If you can hold Cotton while still getting KD and Trez. In my world, that was not possible. I had to get rid of him. PJC's been losing money, so that money wasn't there to use. I think it's a great move. You'll make some money, sell him next week, because like you said, the schedule is horrible. But an extra 40, 50 grand in the bank at this stage of the season could be invaluable.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a pretty easy one, but I think so many people were just slam dunking Cotton to KD. And I just think if you've got to boost up your sleeve, if you got KD last week or you got Montrez or whatever last week and you've just got to bring in Davis, I think if there is a way, at least have a look and entertain it. And if you could trade out, like now that you're throwing it up there, Parker Jackson Cartwright or somebody like that instead of Cotton, then I think you should.
Yeah, this would be the perfect time to use a boost. You're going to make money. You're going to have an extra player in your team this week or next week that everyone else doesn't. I think this could be a real pivotal moment for those who kept their boost. This is I wish I still had one.
Yeah, I still have nightmares about the fact that I used a boost to get in Kyron Galloway earlier on in the year. Thanks for bringing that up. I have Parker Jackson Cartwright still on my list of holds. Now, he's on my list of holds because he's an elite player. He still got the 5th top score last week. So let's say, like, even when he scores 64, it's still 64. I think a lot of our disappointment with Parker Jackson Cartwright is that we expected better. We thought that he was the guy that could do Kendrick Davis, Bryce Cotton things, and he was doing better than them at the start of the year. So I think a lot of that concerns there. If New Zealand can put sort their shit out a little bit, he can be a real hold through these next 5 weeks. But I understand if you decide to get off him because the matchups this week, and we're going to go through it with the schedule chat, the matchups this week for New Zealand don't scream fantastic for Parker Jackson Cartwright and the struggling Breakers.
Yeah. I'm just worried. Is this going to be a case of we held because of the schedule and all of a sudden we're hemorrhaging cash where he's dropped from, I can't remember what his peak was, maybe about 440, something like that. And, another week of some of these bad games, are we seeing him down around that sort of 340, 350 mark and we can't move on to someone bigger and better? I don't think it's him. He, like you said, he was on that level of KD. He was playing better to start the season. Losing Gillespie has been worse than we ever could have anticipated. Just the way that Gillespie was able to get him open with screens, the defense, keeping them in games. Like, think of some of these games. PJC is getting his minutes cut by 5 to 10 minutes a game because they're blown out at halftime.
Yeah,
we're losing out on 10 minutes of Supercoach production because he's on the bench because New Zealand have,
they're down 30.
The mercy rule. The other team's having to pick up at halfway because they can't get over the half court line.
Yeah, I do hate it. I just think if it means that you can get a Jalen Adams or something this week, fantastic. If you can do something with him instead of a Cotton, fantastic. But I'm not trading him out instead of getting a Kendrick Davis or a Montrez Harrell or anything this week. I think it is team dependent. I understand getting him out, but in the classic sense, I think that he is a hold. I think if you're looking to move up some ranks, I think everybody's going to hold him. So a Jalen Adams and, chasing those pods and moving up ranks and everything, that is the move if you can. But you've probably got bigger fires in your team than Parker Jackson Cartwright.
Yeah. I'm holding. The only way I'd be moving is if I could move him to Adams.
Cool. Sounds good. Let's go through to ourselves. We have just been talking about PJC. Do you know who is worse than PJC and plays for New Zealand? It's Sam Menenga.
You're going to say everyone else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sam Menenga's been awful since Taco Falls come in. Last week we had Jonah Bolden. We had him drop to the bench. We had him put back up on the bench. We've had Max Darling in the starting lineup instead of him. There's real uncertainty around role that we didn't have. Like he was 146K or whatever he was. And then he had a defined role. He was playing really well with Cotton. Gillespie went. He played a bit of center where he went even better. And then enter Taco Fall, which is ruining Sam Menenga's. He's basically turned into a stretch four instead of a guy that can play inside, outside, everything like that. I hate Sam Menenga's outlook, and I think we're just about to lose every bit of cash we made.
100%. It's time to abandon ship. He's in all sorts. He came off the bench last game. He only played about 18 minutes. His prospects are not looking good at all.
No, I think it's a luxury trade because, of course, you're going to be doing the trades that make you the most amount of money. But we are hemorrhaging cash with Menenga, cash with Lopez. Look, you might have to tank 1 week just to stop the fight.
Yeah, for sure. Look, they were good for a while. Don't get us wrong. Like, they served their purpose, and if you got off at the right time, you would have been happy. You know, be like myself. But yeah, I would be pretty upset, and I'd be looking for an exit strategy right now on Menenga.
I'll tell you somebody that I'm still holding.
Oh, go on.
James Bateman.
Are you? Talk to me.
Yeah, he's 260K. Look, I think he's a trade out. We saw him drop money last week. But look, he has his flashes. He scores well. I think he will have some huge games. But yeah, look, I think if I could get him out, I would be trading him out. He's 260K. He's going to be about 240K again next week. It's a real tough watch for me.
Yeah, he's just so inconsistent. But if you were to take any silver lining out of the schedule this week, they do play Cairns and they do play Adelaide. Both teams get up and down, and neither of them can play defense. They're like, a rusty gate. They just let everyone through.
Absolutely. Jack White.
Gone.
Yeah, look, you heard me explain the turd that he left on my doorstep. He's schedule is over. He's out of form. He's got a high break even. I can't even look at him, let alone talk about him. Isaac Humphries. He's sort of the odd man out at Adelaide now. Anytime Montrez misses time, I'm going to be looking to add Isaac Humphries. Added him for a 2-week stint. Was really happy. Did exactly what I thought he would do. But yeah, just like the schedule's good. And yes, I know he's on a double, but I think you've got to get off him. And, the perfect, like if you've got the jewels, the perfect things are to a Cooks or a Trez or alternatively Froling sitting there basically being like Humphries without Montrezl Harrell on his team.
If you look at Humphries, when Trez plays, Humphries' Supercoach score drops by about 40%. It's the only time you're going to look at him is when he gets that starting role or becomes the focal point because Trez is gone. It's the same as in Brisbane. The only time you'd look at Rocco would be as if Tyrell Harrison went down for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, exactly the same, and I don't even know if I'd look at him then. I think I'd look at Toy Smith-Milner. But look,
I think talking to Toy Smith-Milner, is this what the sports guy's talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Toy Smith-Milner's looked great. He's always sort of passed the eye test, just probably wasn't conducive with Supercoach scores, but seems to be getting the minutes. Yeah, it's not Rocco's year yet. I don't know if it ever will be. But yeah, look, Toy Smith-Milner, I don't hate with the schedule going forward.
Yeah, Look, he's done well when he's got the minutes, but they've also been inconsistent, haven't they? Like he doesn't pop up every week, and you can't pick when he's going to pop up.
I think if you're chucking a 99k guy on your bench, though, I don't think
I'd
you're
want him
too
ahead of Rocco.
worried. If you go down to Toy Smith Milner and it allows you to get the missing piece of the puzzle between Montrez and KD or something like that, can get around it. I know there's been lots of downgrade questions, and I haven't had a lot of downgrade answers, but Toy Smith Milner is one I can probably just get around.
Yeah, look, like you said, it's pretty barren. At this stage of the season, it's going to take a serious injury for us to get another cash cow sub 100k. So probably the two we're looking at is Toy Smith Milner and Rocco. But they're both on the same team. They're both fighting over the same scraps. And like you said, it'll take an injury for it to really come to fruition. But I can't really think of too many others without a serious season-ending injury to a starter who are going to become relevant.
No, I'm with you there, man. Let's head into the previews of each team.
He's heating up.
Mate, as always, this is brought to us by our mate Hamo at Ryan, who is Ryan from Astute Newstead. Mate, sort you for all your home loan needs. If your interest rates are above 6.2% on your current home loan, especially through these times, if you can save money every single week, why not just reach out and at least get a quote off him? If you're looking to get into your first home or into an investment property, Ryan can help you out. Offers competitive rates, reaches out to all the lenders, takes advantage of all their promotions. He knows who's got the best rates at the time. Because we don't have time, obviously, to pay off a house. You've got to work all the time. So you don't have time to go ahead and contact 40 different lenders. You can't get 40 different quotes. That's when Ryan comes in, lets you know the best rates, puts you in contact with the right people. And it's obligation free and cost free for you. So reach out to Ryan. Let him know that the boys at Insight sent you.
Sensational.
Mate, Brisbane. That's what I ended off with. And we've had a big chat, probably enough chat about that center spot. Tyrell Harrison must have, but you probably already have him. Rocco Zikarsky, Toy Smith Milner. Yeah, look, I can get around bringing in Toy Smith Milner. I think that Rocco's losing cash. It's Bannon that interests me.
Yeah.
He's 280k, hasn't played for a little while. We might get another reduction. But even next week, he's going to have 5 double-doubles in a row. So he drops in cash a bit as he works his way back into that role. Casey Prather's played Josh Bannon's role better than Josh Bannon has. So I'm interested to see how it goes. But I really think that we'll see a shift that moves Bateman back to the bench. Bannon in, and Casey Prather's just going to play at the 3, where he's a lot more comfortable defensively. Casey Prather's better offensively playing against the 4, but defensively, a lot better defending. So, look, Brisbane haven't been stopping teams very well. We saw how well Sydney scored in that fourth quarter of the last game. I think this could be a massive piece to Brisbane's puzzle and, lead them back to playoff basketball again.
Yeah, it depends if they can get the chemistry right. Like on paper, it sounds like it'll be good. These guys have played together before earlier in the season, and it wasn't great. Bannon, apart from the fact that he's dead to me for, give me 2 weeks in a row with DNPs and false hope, I'm really hoping he's back this week. I'm more than likely going to start him on my bench, but he's got a big break even. And like you said, he's going to be eased back in. He's probably going to lose cash. He's 275k though, which brings him in at a pretty affordable price with a great schedule. And you've probably got this week to look if you haven't got him already, just sit and see what happens. But I think on paper it should be good. How it plays out, I'm pretty interested to see.
Look, that injury when he was ultimately playing representative basketball, he was out there playing for Australia when he's got this ankle injury. And
that was Ben Henschel, though.
Yeah, Ben Henschel's been great this year, don't you think? So hey, you get the fuck out of here. He was playing representative basketball, playing some really good form, and I at that point when I owned him intended to keep him basically for the end of the year or at least another 6 weeks. I think with 5 double doubles in a row next week, he comes into consideration next week. But look, I think Bannon, if he shows glimpses and maybe working his way back in, maybe drops in cash a little bit. If I see enough from him this week, I could really see him being a guy I bring in next week.
Yeah, and especially when that second forward spot's wide open. It's weak. We looked at Bannon before he went down with injury. I think I held him then, and he was close to that double-double all the time. We were getting that feeling that he just wasn't quite going on with it, but there is potential there. And we saw it in his rookie season. He did have the ability to go big at times.
Yeah, definitely. Brisbane are playing Cairns and Adelaide this week. I would say
Big
high
scores.
strength of schedule. Yeah, it's something I want to bring in when we have a chat about these teams. And it's just Brisbane versus Cairns, great, love it, regardless of where you're looking, whether you're looking forward, guard, anywhere. Look, it's been raining in Cairns, but the leak is in the roof. And look, playing against Adelaide as well, they play a high pace. There's going to be some points scored. So you've got some Brisbane players really considering finding a way to get them on the court. Adelaide, they're playing Perth and they're playing. Adelaide are playing Southeast Melbourne and playing Brisbane this week.
Yeah.
Look, both up and down teams. I would put that as a high strength of schedule for Adelaide.
Yeah. Look, Sem don't play defense either. They play with a high pace. There's big scores for them. There's big scores against them. This is a really good game for Supercoach scores all around. You look at the individual matchups. Who is going to guard Kendrick Davis? Walton Jr. can't guard anyone. Sobey probably won't guard him the whole time. Glover's an okay defender. They're not playing guys like Ben Ayre. So I think Kendrick Davis has his way. Montrezl Harrell, he's a different beast, man. I don't think Geordie Hunter's going to be able to go with him. I don't think Matt Hurt has the strength to go with him. I think it's a great matchup for both those guys.
Yeah, it's Katie and Trez's world, and we just live in it is essentially what we're saying. But is there any other smokies that you've got from Adelaide? There's no one I'm really, really looking at. But
yeah. Look, when guys are talking downgrade, I think Nick Marshall is one you can look at. I think he's pretty cheap from memory.
100K, yeah.
Yeah, and while DJ 3J's out, the opportunity is going to be there. I don't have a timeline on Vasiljevic. As long as he's out, I think there's going to be that extra burn for Marshall. We know Rasmussen got some of it, but I think Marshall's coming into favour now. He's probably one you may look at, and I think he's guard forward eligible too. Or maybe he's only guard eligible.
No, he's just forward. Marshall is.
Forward, is it? Yeah. So, look, if you're not going to Peatling, maybe you can go to Marshall and free up some cash that way.
Yeah, look, I don't mind Nick Marshall. He has seen an uptick in Supercoach scores as well since watching him, I suppose, since he's been out, DJ 3J. So break even at 23 this week. He's went up 31K since DJ 3J's been out. So, yeah, on the upward trajectory. And at least he's going to be playing, which is all I can really say for him. Mate, Tassie are on fingers as well. This Craig Sword makes no impact. They're not scoring well. It's a bit of a red flag when you're playing Tasmania because they drag people down in the dirt. This isn't a stat that I've dragged up, but I watch most games and I think I've only seen him score 100 points once in the last 7 weeks. So
only once this season. You don't want to be looking at games against Tassie. They can slow the pace down. They can, that whole grit and grind, defend the island stuff. It is not conducive basketball to Supercoach, whether it's them or their opponent. I always see it as a red flag, especially if I'm thinking of a captain. I don't want to be picking a guy who's playing Tassie. They just find a way.
I've always liked Milton Doyle too, but I look at him 287k with a 59 break even. Regardless of who he's playing against, I'm just not that interested.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we talked about the finger schedule. Tassie and Sydney are on the same.
Taking off. Ugh.
Yeah, Tassie and Sydney are on the same schedule as New Zealand. We talked about Jalen Adams. I don't see anyone on Tassie to use in that situation or that scenario. Milton Doyle is probably the only one, if you squint, that you'd half consider, but he's been so inconsistent as well.
Yeah, you've got to squint pretty hard. Mate, we're going through the fingers teams now, and we are looking at Sydney. Sydney are playing New Zealand. Regardless of where you are, that's a great matchup. I think it's great for centers. I think it's great for forwards. I think it's great for Parker Jackson Cartwright. I think it's great for Parker Jackson Cartwright, and I think it's great for Jalen Adams. Like, I just think playing New Zealand, regardless of where you are, it's just going to lead to points.
Yeah, the worry is though that you blow them out and then you guys don't play minutes. That's what scares me about playing New Zealand at the moment. You look at their last 5 or 6 games. I think they've lost by an average. I saw a stat today. I think it was an average of 22 points across their last 5 or 6 games. They're not even competitive. And for me, seeing guys get rested against them is a real concern.
Yeah, and Sydney have been good. Mate, Sydney's second game is against Illawarra.
Yeah.
And I always struggle to find out where to work out whether I think playing Illawarra is a good matchup or a bad matchup. And I think it's just mid.
Yeah, they talk it up. You know, the crosstown rivals, what do they call it, the freeway series. But I think Supercoach wise, it makes no difference. I just put it down as another game.
Yep. So a good week to own Sydney players is essentially what we're saying. As we prefaced in our buy, hold, and sell, we liked Cooks. We liked Jalen Adams. I'd be staying away from Cam Oliver unless you're a huge pod hunter and you're trying to win the week on that 1 in 7 that he scores well. New Zealand.
I think you need to look at the ladder too here. The Sydney Kings are in 3rd, Illawarra are in 1st. Both have won 10 games. Illawarra have 2 less losses. This could be a big one that Sydney want to start to move up the ladder, considering that Melbourne's starting to slide.
Yeah. That New Zealand team, we've spent so much time talking about New Zealand in the last couple of weeks. We hate it. Sydney, a hard matchup. Although I don't hate it for Parker Jackson Cartwright when I was looking at points scored for guards. You do hate it? You think they'll just put Liafa on him?
Well, I think Sydney's just hard all round for guards to score against. They've got good defenders, Liafa, Bruce. They've got Bull Quoll, if he's back. They've got Jalen Adams. I just don't like it.
I also hate them playing against. Well, there you go. Draw a line through them against Sydney, but Tasmania I hate it as well. Like they'll be defended.
This is not
they do it by committee. Yeah,
right.
At least Craig Sword's not defending him, man. So I'm feeling good about that.
The white guy probably can't defend him,
mate. Look, Melbourne, Southeast Melbourne, Cairns, and Perth. I struggle to find anyone really to talk about when it goes into them. We're going to have a look at Cairns again in a little bit on a show that we're going to bring out closer to Christmas because, and actually for everybody listening, you only get 1 day during lockout. So the last games finish at, I think, halfway through your last prawn on Christmas night. And then you only have 24 hours to, I suppose, before lockout again. That first game probably isn't going to burn you if you do miss out on it. But look, just get out there. Just set an alarm on your phone or something because you're going to be hungover. You're going to be watching the Boxing Day tests, whatever you're going to be doing. You need to do your trades on Boxing Day.
Yeah, for sure. You have a less than 24-hour turnaround. So, look, don't be that guy whose season just falls off the cliff because you forgot about it, got stuck into the trifle or whatever you were doing. But, yeah, put an alarm. Set an alarm for this one.
Hey, Siri, Tell him Matrix told me to do my trades.
Go captain, my captain. Go captain, my captain.
This is going to be
Kendrick.
easy. Kendrick Davis. And for your second option, Kendrick Davis.
I like Kendrick Davis this week. I really like what he brings to the team. And yeah, I was sitting there tossing up between Kendrick Davis and Kendrick Davis. And I think on one hand, Kendrick Davis is going to be getting a lot more assists than Kendrick Davis. But on the other hand, Kendrick Davis has all those points to be scored. So I'm going to be going with Kendrick. It's a decision that I've made after much consideration. I like KD as well, but I'm probably just going to go with Kendrick or Kendrick Davis.
On the off chance that someone doesn't have Kendrick, are we going to go KD, Trez, Cooks?
Yeah, I still like Trez. Or you know what? I would probably pod captain Cooks. If not, maybe the wheels fall off Adelaide or something like that. If I didn't have Davis, but
yeah,
I mean, I don't think this is the week if you're trying to move up ranks or trying to get spicy with your captains. Don't.
Yeah, you don't pay $500K for a bloke and not captain him.
Like, you could nearly. I reckon he could. Like, he outscored PJC on a double on a single last week. Put that into perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Really good one from Ian here. He's asking whether we should captain Harrison. No.
Wow.
Mate, IJ can take it. He's put up with my shit. He watches most of my shows. Let's go into question time because he did have some decent questions.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Mate, a really good question from Crafty Fat Boy earlier on in the show, and I started in our chat. He says, riddle me this, KD in for Cotton or PJC? And I'm going to let you answer this. I know you've got some opinions.
Well, I think we've covered it. If you can bring him in for PJC, I would. You talked about Cotton's break even at 16. You're going to get another price rise. You could even go back to PJC if you wanted with an extra bit of, you're going to make money on Cotton. You'll lose money on PJC this week. If you can bring KD in for PJC, I'd 100% do it.
Mate, Colin's got a great one, Colin Graham. He's asking if it's too early to nuff if it means getting the big Montrezl or Trezilla whilst keeping the lights of Cotton, PJC, Cook, Davis, Prather, and Harrison. I do think that it's too early to nuff, but I do think that you should try and get Trez at all costs. But I've probably got a better one. If you're only 50K short and instead of nothing, you can get a Nick Marshall or a Totty Smith-Milner, I think if you get some of those blokes in instead of enough and you go Cooks, I think you'll find that you score very similar to if you had Trez.
How old do you reckon Colin Graham is? Because this question's got me confused. Colin Graham tells me he's 60. The way he's writing in that question tells me he's 15. It's like he's about to say, yo, no cap. Stop bussing the whatever the young kids are saying.
Mate, I'm a huge fans of Colin. I fucking love Colin in the chat. So let him cook, man. Look, yeah, I do think that maybe you could go Cooks if it means that you don't have to nuff. I just think, like, you look out at what Nick Marshall. Honestly, I think Toy Smith-Milner is the one. But have a look at what Toy Smith-Milner is going to score for the rest of the year. Say he scores 6 points per game and you can't get enough back out of your team. I think you're going to get back the difference between Montrez and Cook's score over the weeks going forward if you're playing overall. So for me, I play overall. I would be looking to get Toy Smith-Milner instead of enough and getting Cooks.
While all you young people are on here, what does nuff mean?
Oh man, sorry, I forgot you're not really a Supercoach guy. You're an NBL guy. So nuff means bringing in a bottom dollar guy, usually dual flexibility, that's probably not going to play. So you're banking out you're basically depleting the cash of a player to get in a bloke at 58.5K in NBL that's
okay.
probably forward center or forward guard eligible. And everybody used last year. There was a guy I watched him play the NBL one. Yeah, the guard center dude. Yeah, he was enough. He's never going to play. He's just in the game at bottom dollar. Yeah. Basically, just downgrading to do your other trades. Yeah, that's what nuff is. We do it in NRL a little bit because you have 24 players.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, boomers. Me and Colin will just hang over here. Mate, just ducking through them. Froling and Marshall or Harrison and Toy Smith Milner.
Ooh.
Nth.
Interesting. Harrison Smith Milner are on the same team, which to me thinks, is Smith Milner playing because Harrison's having a shit one? You're just hedging your bets. Froling and Marshall, you're really high on Froling. I think Marshall's playable, probably to the same extent that a Mason Peatling is, just while Vasiljevic is out.
You know what? I'm again going to twist his question around. I think you should be getting Froling and Toy Smith Milner instead of Froling and
Milner still a play with Bannon coming back though? Is there more forward? Has he been playing because there's no Bannon?
No, I think he's been playing because Zakarsky's shit. He wasn't playing out there very often because, I mean, I like Rocco. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's been playing because they've needed a center to stretch the floor. He was playing more center minutes in the last one I watched.
Mr. CBB. This is in response to the nuff question before. The entire retirement village just logged on. I feel attacked.
Okay, boomers. Mate, I just had another one. Lopez and Mooney. Who is the first to go? And why is it Lopez? Yeah.
Yeah, he is on such a steep slope, sliding downwards. Mooney's still thereabouts. Like I don't think he's ever going to be like a 350 guy, but I think he's going to do enough to hold his sort of, new import price. I suppose he has the potential to go big.
Mate, Cameron Roberts got a good one, and I really want to answer it. Do you blow a boost going Glover to DWJ? This is after bringing in Trez and Davis. And I think no, I don't think that's boost worthy.
All right. I don't mind the idea of DWJ coming in. All right. So I put an article up on our Patreon this week talking about, not so much about a boost, but talking about the exact same sort of scenario. So if you look at the schedule, it's not the worst. He's finally broken out of his slump. The last game against United, he had 28 minutes off the bench, 31 Supercoach points. This was deflated by 6 turnovers, which took 12 away from his score. So it would have been 43. 1.1 Supercoach points per minute, even with the turnovers. His break-even this week's 23. Only $192,000. That's value for me. It's quite realistic at that price, though, that we can build a guard rotation. PJC, Kendrick Davis, Keandre Cook, Derek Walton Jr. If he's part of a 4-guard stack, is that attractive to you?
Yeah, look, I like Derek Walton Jr. I just don't think it's worth getting off Glover this week. Like, I think Derek Walton Jr. was cooking last week, but there is every chance. Now, let me have a look. Southeast Melbourne are playing. What are they? They're playing Adelaide this week. I think there's every chance that they throw Owen Foxwell at Kendrick Davis this week.
Possibly. He's the better defender.
That's all I'm thinking, and it's going to be about how do you beat Adelaide? You can't stop these guys, but you slow them down. And Owen Foxwell's going to have energy for days. You're not going to get that from 47-year-old Sobey. You're not going to get that from Derek Walton Jr., who was out of the rotation last week. I think Owen Foxwell's going to play a bigger role this week, and you can wait a week on Derek Walton Jr. I'm not saying it's not a good trade. I love the trade. I just don't think it's boost worthy when we're talking about, like, if you can bring in Cook this week or, bolster up your forward spot or bring in an Illawarra guy, like, I think that's boost worthy.
Yeah. Look, I think you need to look long-term with this boost. What you want to ideally get to is a 4-guard rotation when you're talking, and you need to look at the schedule to think, I don't need to make another trade for the rest of the year because I've got 4 primos pretty much that I can play. And then start to focus on your forwards. I think there's a perfect world if you've done the right thing, you've made your cash, you've still got this boost left. You need to start getting those rotations good and having really playable bench guys.
No, I'm with you, mate. Last question. Curdy's just asking, is it boost worthy? We've been having boost chat to get rid of Cullen Davison.
You want to get rid of him. Would you use your last boost to do it?
I mean, we're talking about nothing, guys. Maybe you can just leave Cullen there. I think that if you have somebody that's worth a bit more money than Cullen, then it's boost worthy, but I don't know, just let him rot, man.
Yeah. I think at this point, you're just going to have to carry it. You got too much other stuff you need doing. And if you were able to upgrade from, say, let's say a Henschel who's giving you 25 a game to, look, somebody's going to give you 35 a game, that's going to cover the difference of Cullen Davidson.
Mate, look, that brings us to the end of the show. And actually, Colin Graham chatting about nuffs being used massively in NRL Supercoach really has me thinking. So the trade picker come out today for NRL. So we've got we've got Whisperer doing up all these articles about his trade picker. It's phenomenal in our Patreon. But something that we're going to be starting next year in all our sports, on our web store, we have what's called a Matrix crown hat. So it's something I've designed. It's corduroy in finish. It's a navy corduroy for all you boomers and young people alike. And on the front, on the front of the hat or the back of the hat, you decide where you want your crown. So it's got the little Insight logo and it's got the crown logo on a navy blue hat. And when you win your Supercoach week, you wear your crown to the front. So everybody in the know knows that you've had a ripping week. And you can walk around and flaunt it. And only Supercoach players knows that you've had a wrecking week. You can walk down the shops. You're going to be getting some nice nods. I know on the show, you and I are going to be playing head-to-head. So you're going to be able to see, just by turning it on, that I beat you every week. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to cover up these cul-de-sacs and wear the hat with the crown.
Mate, it's on our Insight Fantasy Sports web store. $39.50. So get on there. IJ loves the idea. So I can't wait to see him sharing it and letting everybody know that he won the week. But look, that's the end of the show. We will be doing a show that releases around Christmas Eve, though. So I imagine with that 24-hour lockout, there's not going to be too many guys that are doing a podcast. So look, the show rolls on for us.
Get amongst it.
You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.